Blacks to move out of this culture. White
I take
liberals.
responsibility.
I take responsibility.
Jesse.
I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes. These are our brothers and sisters.
All right, man. Thomas Sowell on current black culture. We did a few Thomas Sowell videos, and I trust his word. Honestly, the man knows what he's talking about. He's a very educated man, I would say. I don't know what he's going to be talking about in this video. Can it be controversial? Current black culture it's a hell of a thing. I'm going to just keep it simple like that. There's a lot of stuff going on that shouldn't be going on, leading our minority straight to that bed. A lot of people passing away for nothing. Getting shot. Passing from just all type of crazy stuff, man. The community is out of control. Thomas, what you got to say about it, man? This is wild out here. Who gonna help? Who coming to help?
I never heard a gunshot.
Never heard a gunshot, huh? First thing I hear.
Well, let me read what you say in your preface. You say, "Let me state here, and now that these essays do not mean, 1, all Southern whites were or are rednecks; 2, all black Americans today or in the past were or are black rednecks. One
Hold on. We're going to go back and play this again.
or are rednecks.
We're going to play this again.
Say, let me state here, and now that these essays do not mean, 1, all Southern whites were or are rednecks; 2, all black Americans today or in the past were or are black rednecks. One cannot predict, you write, much less forestall all the clever misinterpretations that others might put on one's words. The most that can be done is to alert honest people to the problem. Black rednecks, who are they?
These would be blacks who came out of the Southern culture and who carried that culture with them north into the urban ghettos and into the ghettos of the South, for that matter, and who have not moved out of that culture since. Over the years, both blacks and whites have moved away from that culture. But in the poorest and worst of the ghetto areas, there are lots of people who have not. And these kinds it's a culture which didn't do whites any good, and it's certainly not doing blacks any good today. And the tragedy is that people regard this culture as somehow the authentic black culture, and therefore you're not to interfere with it.
I'm proud to be a...
You know what? I think that if I interpreted that right, he's basically talking about the ghetto. He's basically talking about the damn ghetto, and basically saying that the ghetto is it's what we're known by now. What did he say? Hold on, how did he word it? He worded it so beautifully, but I understood every word.
Blacks any good today. And the tragedy is that people regard this culture as somehow the authentic black culture.
The authentic
and
black
therefore
culture.
You're not to interfere with it.
Therefore, you're not to interfere with it. Am I right, y'all? I don't know. I might be saying something wrong, but that's just what I got out of what he's saying. That's what's interpreted as the authentic black culture. Don't interfere with it. That's it. It's just how it is, man. It's just how it is. But I never heard of that term be used, though. Black redneck. Got a little spin to it. That's crazy. Thomas Sowell's a man that likes to stand on his word. He speaks it with confidence. Like, every word he's saying, he can stand behind every single word.
Proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from.
Black English is considered not quite proper English. On the other hand, if
blacks happened to have all the power and own all the corporations, and whites were working for them, it would be the other way around.
There was a period.
Hey. Black English is not. It's a little different. We got a little slang in there, but it's the same thing. Don't just throw us out. Don't say that. But I understood, like you said, if we owned all the corporations, black people coming up, man. We starting a lot of businesses, like say Atlanta and big cities. You know, Atlanta, it's a lot of black basketball players. You know, so they're getting a fair share out there for real. Well, now I would say current black culture. Current black culture, it's a lot of us eating right now. Basketball players, movie stars. So, hey.
All the corporations and whites were working for them, it would be the other way around.
There was a period, I'm trying to remember now, I believe it was in the mid-70s when Substandard English began to become viewed as a discipline of its own within linguistic studies and so forth. And for all I know, it was all perfectly legitimate that certain speech patterns would be traced back to various regions in Africa and so forth. And this is a language of its own. It has its own validity. But your argument would be, I don't really care what its validity is. It's holding people back. It's preventing them from participating in the wider society. Is that right?
Absolutely. And also, none of these things went back to Africa.
Oh, is that so?
No.
Getting correct. Getting correct.
Yes, they did not go back to Africa. If you look at the peach, for example, using the word axe for ask and stuff like that, all of that goes back to the South. And
we got a little
goes
slang
back to
on
the parts of Britain from which white Southerners came. So if you trace calling hog entrails chitlins, that was in a certain section of Britain, the section from which whites moved into the South, and they were known as rednecks and crackers in Britain in centuries past before they ever set foot in the South. So the whole thing is as phony as the $3 bill.
In Intellectuals and Race, you cite an observation.
Phony. Even though I say X, my words is a little miscued. Sometimes I don't even think my words are words, but it's understandable. It's understandable. See, that came from
by the intelligence expert, IQ scientist James Flynn, that just stopped me cold. After the Second World War, you've got large numbers of American troops remaining in Germany. For that matter, there's still several tens of thousands there today. And both black and white American soldiers had children with German women. And Flynn discovered that those children growing up in Germany showed no IQ differences at all. The black kids and the white kids, the same. Professor Flynn concluded that the reason was that the offspring of black soldiers in Germany grew up in a nation with no black subculture, close quote. Which means what? Which means they experienced exactly the same expectations. Is this
No, the expectations are external. The culture in which they grew up was not the culture in which black kids grew up in America today.
Facts.
So
there's no gangster rap.
Facts.
That was pervasively available.
Dominant in Germany, yeah.
So here's what I'm getting.
So that's just how Thomas Sowell said it. He put that nose in the, you feel me? He put his nose on it. There's no gangster rap. This music is, man, this music, dude. I be trying to tell people, but people be laughing at me. I'm like, dude, this music they got today is out of control. Ain't nothing positive in it. Go get the gun, shoot the person in the back of the head. I'm going to leave you dead. I'm going to leave you dead. Take some drugs until I'm gone. Like, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Thomas Sowell said it best. You know, in Germany, they probably didn't have all of that. They did. I don't think I ever heard any German music saying all of that stuff. I don't know right now. I don't know. But I definitely wouldn't think so. The music can be a big issue. We soak it in every day. You know, that's something it's so accessible. We can play on our phone, computer, TV, anywhere. You hear it when you walk in the store, and it just gets you in the mood. Music control your mood too. I think it could kind of control your mood you in. You hear some of that, that's the mood you in. Hear something soothed, you get soothed. You hear rain and all of that, you go to sleep. So it's a receptor or something up there.
Available in Germany.
So here's what I'm getting. There is something about black subculture in America today that holds African Americans themselves back?
Yes, because that very same subculture held whites in the South back as well. That in the time, this mental testing in the First World War turned up, among other things, the fact that whites from various 4 or 5 southern states scored lower on the mental test than blacks from 4 or 5 northern states. And so it really was a question of the subculture that was there, which was a handicap to both. I could go on for days about the social degeneration, but let me give you just one quick example. When I grew up in Harlem in the 40s and 50s, I never heard a gunshot. Now, I'm sure someone fired a gun somewhere in Harlem, but it was not such a pervasive thing that you had to hear it.
You hear it every day now.
I have relatives in Washington. I asked them the same question, people of my generation.
Growing up in Washington, D.C.
Yes, and low-income black neighborhoods. Did you ever hear a gunshot when you were growing up? And the answer was no. I have relatives in North Carolina. I asked the same question.
You hear them every day now. A gunshot is like a raindrop. You're going to see one and hear one eventually. Hey, they just boom, boom. You might hear 1 or 2, boom, or 1. It's crazy. It's crazy now, man. But look, now they passing the law that you can have the gun with no CCW. If I'm not mistaken, you can have your weapon on you without any CCW now, as long as you have it exposed. As long as somebody can see it. So now it's legal to just pop somebody. It's going to even get worse. They're going to make it worse and worse until population control. Is that where it's headed? Too many people out here sucking up our air. Let's give them guns. They'll do the job.
Growing up, and the answer was no. I have relatives in North Carolina. I asked the same question. No. And now, people in housing projects especially, they put kids, some of them, to bed in bathtubs so that they won't be hit by stray bullets in the night. Now we take it for granted that there's crimes, tremendous levels of crime and violence in the black community. That was not always the case. In the 20s, it was very common for white celebrities, including George Gershwin and William Faulkner, to go up to Harlem not only for entertainment places, but to go into private homes of people they knew. And Gershwin played Rhapsody in Blue in this home where Walter White lived. Milton Friedman, when he was a graduate student at Columbia, he and the lady he later married would go dancing at the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem. And he said, we had no fear of being mugged or accosted on the street or anything like that.
I've heard you say, Tom, when you were a boy growing up in Harlem yourself, your own neighborhood felt totally safe to you.
Not totally safe. I wouldn't exaggerate, but there's nothing resembling today. I mean, I did sleep on hot nights. I would sleep out on the fire escape. When I tell people in Harlem that today, they think I'm from another galaxy.
You sound crazy.
But that people slept on the fire escapes in New York and in the public parks in the 30s, all over the city. Because it was not a jungle. And you could run through a great...
It was not a jungle. It's a jungle. Yeah. It's a jungle now. But you slept out on the fire escape. You felt that comfortable in your neighborhood? Ain't no way. Nobody going... Well, I guess the bums do sleep outside, but nobody bothers them. I don't know about sleeping outside today, Thomas. What? Especially if you live in a rural area. It's pretty much over with. You're going to sleep outside and wake up, your clothes going to be off. Hope you wake up. That's the first step. You got to hope for that. He right. Basically, he's saying back in the day, it was just a better generation, to simplify it. Back in the day, we lived better. We didn't have all this yippee-yi-yay crap on the radio. We didn't have all these, I would say, per se, drugs. You know, it's a lot of stuff. I think the rappers are the number one people that control the youth. Because them the songs you hear like this. You hear them just all day, everywhere. So everywhere you go. So, you know, it control you. It can hit that receptor up there. Now, if you hear I want to go shoot, bang, bang up Jimmy and them on the south side and go back to the east side, that's what you're going to want to do. He basically breaking it down like it wasn't a jungle back in the day. Back in the day, we was chill. Now, the youth gone crazy. Y'all got to get it together.
All over the city because it was not a jungle. And you could run through a great number of other things. Children raised without two parents present. That was about 22% in 1960. One generation later, it was 67%, and it's gone up a little since then as well. And now the rate among whites is higher than it was among blacks in 1960.
Right.
Blacks to move out of this culture.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
Jesse.
I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes. These are our brothers and sisters.
Our friends, our family. We are done watching them die.
How do you define a white liberal?
Those kinds of people who have the kinds of attitudes that are called liberal in the United States, although the word is misused, those people have created an atmosphere in which these counterproductive cultures are to be celebrated, perpetuated, and the consequences overlooked. It reminds me of a scene in the Blue Max where this general is encouraging this daredevil pilot to do all kinds of wild stunts, you see, knowing that the guy's going to kill himself if he keeps doing this, and therefore the general will be rid of a political problem. Now, I don't think that the white liberals are doing this deliberately, but I think the net results are the same.
You can't be saying, I don't know. If that's true, I'm saying the white liberals, basically, they're doing that on purpose, knowing it's kind of like a reverse psychology thing. Misused. These are strong words, Thomas. These are strong words, man. I'm listening.
If he keeps doing this, and therefore the general will be
Let me hear what he said.
Perpetuated. Productive cultures are to be an atmosphere in which
family.
Sorry,
we are done watching them die.
How do you define a white
liberal? I hope so.
Those kinds of people who have the kinds of attitudes that are called liberal in the United States, although the word is misused, those people have created an atmosphere in which these counterproductive cultures are to be celebrated, perpetuated, and the consequences overlooked. It reminds me of a scene in the Blue Max where this general is encouraging this daredevil pilot to do all kinds of wild stunts,
see this movie, y'all. My bad.
knowing that the guy's going to kill himself if he keeps doing this, and therefore the general will be rid of a political problem. Now, I don't think that the white liberals are doing this deliberately, but I think the net results are the same. They are cheering blacks on and doing things that are absolutely self-destructive.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, they're cheering them on to basically make them do the actions that they have. Is that how it works, though? You know, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. But, hey, I'm listening. Tommy. I wish all the crap would stop. It's pointless. It's all pointless. It's all pointless. Gangs, I think gangs are pointless, man. If you in the gang still, get out the gang. I mean, I understand repping where you come from, but all the gang stuff, seeing somebody from another gang shoot, just stop. These are pointless killings, for real. Like, it's literally no point to it at all. We can keep on going, go to the movies, get some popcorn. Black leaders, a.k.a. race hustlers.
Blacks on and doing things that are absolutely self-destructive.
One of the things I discovered in the research for my book I'm currently working on is that leaders of groups that are lagging in countries around the world almost invariably have counterproductive policies for them. And it makes perfect sense because insofar as members of lagging groups assimilate into the values and achievements of the larger society, they don't need those leaders. I mean, there's no mystery to me as to why Jesse Jackson says what he does, or Al Sharpton and others, because that benefits them.
Yeah.
But it does not benefit the people they lead. And all the incentives are for leaders to lead people into things that don't help the people, but help the leaders.
You'd create there would be an exception for Dr. King, though, wouldn't there?
Thomas, I like you, man, but it's kind of like the same thing. Well, I don't know if what you're benefiting off of this, but you're being seen by the world. It can help advertise on it, Al Sharpton's doing it too, preaching the word. It's helping him benefit his pockets, but really still leaving us where we're at. But in the end of the day, is it up to us to listen to that word and benefit ourselves? How about that? Listen to that word and benefit ourselves.
You'd create there would be an exception for Dr. King, though, wouldn't there?
Yes, but
he was different because he was earliest, or what? Why? What's different about him?
Well, it's like insurgent movements in general. When an insurgency starts off, by definition, it has an uphill battle. Now, and you can look at the history of Christianity, for heaven's sake. If you're going to be a Christian in the Roman Empire, before in the first century, you had a lot of grief to go through. Now, but after Christianity becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire, this is a bonanza, and there's a lot to be done. And so now you will follow policies that are the opposite of what you advocated. You will see that with all kinds of other insurgent movements.
Somewhere, watching this interview, there's a young Thomas Sowell. There's an African American who's smart.
I'm smart.
And
it might
wants
not
to
seem like
do
it.
something with his life.
Yes, I do.
It seems to me we've already got one piece of advice you'd offer to him is stay away from the races industry. Stay away from the what advice race hustlers.
I'm good.
What advice
I'm here. I'm staying away from all of that. Hold on. Let's get it.
would you give a young Thomas Sowell? How do you make something of yourself as an African American in America today?
The way anybody else would. You equip yourself with skills that people are willing to pay for.
I heard that in the last video, y'all. Some of the stuff in the beginning I haven't heard. I guess they linked the last video to it. I was just so stuck into it, I didn't realize it. But black culture, the current black culture, I should say, is pretty rough. We got to get it together, y'all. We got to get it together. Even famous rappers are getting popped. Shouts out to rest in peace Nipsey. Rappers aren't even safe anymore. When you're famous, you're not safe. It's not just in the rural areas. It's not just in the hood. Famous people are getting whacked off too. Whacked. Famous people are getting whacked too. What are we going to do about it? That's the question. What are we going to do about it? The word is out there. We got to take the word and do something with it. What's next, y'all? Until next time.